Hey everybody, welcome to another comic book review. In this video, I'll be talking about Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. Now, this duo, King and Gerads, worked together on one of my favorite graphic novels of all time, The Sheriff of Babylon. I think that book is a masterpiece. I really don't have any issues with it. I think it's pretty much flawless. It's a wonderful portrayal of war and the sides of war that people don't talk about and that people don't really tend to pick up on. This book is also a meditation on war, but it's from like a superhero perspective. And it follows the story of Mr. Miracle, scot-free. And he starts out the story trying to escape death, as he puts it. He basically made an attempt at his own life because he's an escape artist. And by doing that, it was sort of his way of trying to escape death by showing that he could push through anything. But it's also he's dealing with some mental health issues as well. And the media is kind of intruding on his life. And he has a very supportive wife, Big Barda, and the two of them are kind of like a great power couple. And she's trying to be supportive to him because he's dealing with, kind of this existential crisis. But, he's trying to support her as well. And they have a child on the way. And meanwhile, at his homeworld, Scott-Free's homeworld, basically there's this giant war that's breaking out. And Darkseid, who is Scott-Free's adopted father, he possesses this weapon called the anti-life equation. And Scott-Free is trying to figure out a way to deal with this and to stop the war between Apocalypse and New Genesis, the two worlds. He's trying to stop a war between those two worlds while also maintaining a life on Earth with his wife and trying to raise a child and dealing with his mental health issues and just all of this stuff. And it's a complicated story, and it works in some ways. I do not think this is as good as Sheriff of Babylon was. Is it a good book? Yeah, I liked it. There were definitely elements of it that I thought were really, really cool. And there were a lot of elements that didn't work for me as well. There's a lot of tonal inconsistencies in this book that did not work for me. They try to add humor and lightheartedness into very serious situations, and it just comes off as like kind of like how Marvel movies will insert jokes at every turn, and it just feels unnatural. It kind of suffers from the same issues with Mr. Miracle with this book. I do think that the panel layouts are very interesting. He uses Tom King and Mitch Gerads. They go for a lot of 9-panel grids, kind of like this is doing here. That was a common technique that was used in Watchmen that really kind of took off after there. And this book is full of 9-panel grids. And it works. It works. And it's cool because there's like this motif throughout the book of Darkseid is, which basically in the context of the story means Darkseid, the character, exists, and he's this all-powerful force that never stops being. He never stops existing. And, all the characters are kind of having to grapple with the idea of Darkseid is while dealing with their own lives. And so like the 9-panel grid is very useful for kind of hammering the point home Darkseid is, and it does that throughout the entire story. Like you see it everywhere, this Darkseid is. And 9-panel grid approach is very, very effective at kind of hammering that theme home and like hammering home that point in a way that's very effective. One thing that I didn't really understand about this book, and I mean maybe there's some deeper reason as to why it's there, but some of the panels have like this wavy kind of effect. Let me see if I can find a good example, but like this, like these waves here. And that's all throughout the book. It's not just like every once in a while here and there, like it happens often with these waves. Now, my thinking is there's got to be some sort of like here, it's all throughout. There's got to be some sort of meaning as to why they did it. Now, I have my theories. I think it's kind of supposed to represent like disorder and like dysfunction in the characters' lives. But it doesn't entirely work for me. I mean, that's the closest theory that I can come up with that I think makes the most sense for the story. But even that, I don't know if it entirely works for me. There are some stylistic choices here that didn't really add up for me. A lot of this book feels like style over substance. And the style is cool, but I am not seeing how it fits into the larger plot. And also, the plot itself is not quite as compelling as some of King's other work. Mitch Gerads' art is fantastic, as usual. It's really good. I wish that there was like a little less like after effects, like with the waves and stuff. And I wish they kind of eliminated that. But for the most part, Gerads' art is really good. I will say though, I think he's more suited to drawing more realistic scenarios like he did in Sheriff of Babylon, instead of like very colorful, like superhero kind of stories. It works, it's cool, but it doesn't work as well as it could have, in my opinion. I think that maybe a different artist would have been a better fit for this story. As far as like, would I recommend this book? I think people could really enjoy it. I thought it was just okay. I don't know if I'll read it again anytime soon. But I mean, for a standalone like Mr. Miracle story, it's decent. I know it's very, very highly acclaimed. A lot of people do love it. And I can see why, but it just wasn't entirely my cup of tea. I think both King and Gerads have done better work. And I think that this is just kind of an example of another notch in their belt, but not their best work for either of them, I think. All in all, those are my thoughts on Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. Thank you, as always, for watching. Continue to look forward to more videos in the future, and have a great night.